Hello, it's Cisvolk. Time to enjoy card making with me. In this video I'm going to use my brand new Spellbinders hotfoil machine and the Platinum 6 die cutting machine. I'm so happy with them. I bought them myself because I so wanted to work with those beautiful hotfoil plates that are out now these days. Team Spellbinders asked me to design some cards using some of the products from the Sealed by Spellbinders collection. And those are pretty cool. I am extremely happy with them. Here is the beautiful geometric diamond background Glimmer hotfoil plate from the Sealed by Spellbinders collection. I've already made backgrounds with it, but I'll save those for the next video, which I will show later. Here I have 4 beautiful sealed Squiggles edge dies. I really think they are so cool, dainty and simply beautiful. Very delicate though, but I found that you can work with them very well, despite them being so thin. They are very pretty when you bundle them together. They are slightly bent now, because I already used them to cut. But that is very normal and not a problem. You bend them back again very easily. Then I also have here the sealed Twine edge dies. These are meant to be used in combination with a wax seal. You will die cut these twice, then glue the circles together and fold the ends over. It then works as if there is a thread twisted around the card. And then we also have all kinds of texts, the sealed Glimmer sentiments that can be used for different occasions. You can see here all the text from the set in a beautiful font. For now I am using the silver and gold foil that comes standard with the hotfoil machine. For this video I use only the gold foil. I bought a small solid plate and tried it out already. And yes, I immediately made a mistake by putting the foil down the wrong way. Unfortunately, but fortunately it still works fine. I will briefly show what I have already used it for. First I fold the geometric diamond background Glimmer hotfoil plate with gold foil. The result looks like this. I foiled on white 250 gram DCP Clairefontaine paper. And I fold the remaining foil onto the paper with the solid foil plate. And it looks like this. I had to fold twice for this because this solid plate is too small. Too bad the big plate was sold out, otherwise I would have really liked the big one. I will be making cards with these backgrounds soon. For the card I am about to make, I am going to use the foil in different ways. And that is also what I like to do the most. Working sparingly and getting the most out of it. Even though the hotfoil is completely new to me, I'm just going to try it. I want to use the foil optimally and try to waste as little as possible, because I think it's a waste to throw away leftovers. Well, that didn't quite work out because of course I made some beginner mistakes and had to practice a bit how exactly it works. And I watched a lot of YouTube videos to make sure how to do it. Thanks to Jana Smakula for the additional explanation and many others who have made videos about working with the hotfoil machine before. For those watching and have no idea what a hotfoil machine is, I'll show a little bit of how it works. First you plug in the power cord and turn on the switch on the back. The base plate is plugged in. The top light is now on, which means the power is on, and now we wait for it to heat up. It takes about 5 minutes. In the meantime, cut or trim the foil to size. The second light is now on, which means I can put the solid glimmer plate down. Then now I put the foil on top with the nice side against the glimmer plate. I also put the text down with a piece of foil on top, and on top of that the paper. Now 2 plates come on top. It doesn't matter which plate you put on first. I just always use the Glimmer thin shim first and on top of that the Glimmer spacer pad. Then I press the timer and it's waiting for the third light to turn green. Then you take out the hot plate and here you have to be careful because now nothing is allowed to slide. If that's successful, then you run the whole thing through the die cutting machine. Because my machine is brand new and it cuts very well, I don't need an extra paper shim. My old die cutting machine was not suitable because the opening was just 1 centimeter too narrow to fit through. Well, this is actually not doable like this under the camera because it moves too much, but you now understand the principle of how a hot foil machine works a bit. The plate goes back on the base and the glimmer plates can come off. The foil is now glued to the paper by heat and pressure. With the magnet tool provided, you can remove the hot plates. Only this heavy glimmer plate is too heavy. I prefer to pick those up with the strong magnets that come with my magnetic glass plate. And that's for the best, because it got really hot. Outside the camera is an included silicone mat on which the glimmer plates can cool down. After foiling, it looks like this. A quick look to see if the light shines on it properly. Now pull off the top layer. Oh, too bad it shifted. That's a beginner's mistake. The next one I will stick on with a piece of tape. And then this one. Oh, that one came out really wonderful. Look how beautiful that is. That shifted text I'm just going to do again. It was to be expected. Also, when you cut something out, it's always best to tape the dies to the paper to prevent shifting. It's already cooled down again. It goes pretty fast. I found out that you can glue the glimmer plates to the paper with washi tape. But you have to do it in such a way that the washi does not stick to the foil, because then you foil too much and you get a foiled stain on the place where the washi tape sits. So you want to place the foil so that it is exactly under the glimmer plate, but not on the washi tape. I place the sentiment glimmer plate with the foil and the paper and plates back on the hot foil machine when the light is on. Push the button and wait for the third light to come on. Then I put the whole thing through my die cutting machine. And now I hope it went well, because to be honest, it has gone wrong several times. Yep, this one worked nice. There's a very small spot where there is some overfoiling, and you can erase that very easily with a sand eraser. I have the sand eraser from Tombow, which you can also use for erasing ink spots, so always handy to have in your stash. I now want to foil the sealed Squiggles dies. So not cutting, but foiling. I don't need the whole length of the stem, so I don't need a very large piece of foil. I tape the 3 dies down with washi tape and I then lay them down upside down, so with the cutting edge facing up. I was a little anxious to do this at first, because I was afraid of damaging my Glimmer thin shim. But it works perfectly. As long as the cutting edge is pointing up, it goes absolutely fine. The grey base is made of a material that dents and therefore ensures that the thin shim will not be damaged. You have to be careful that the die will not protrude, but fall within the grey area. Well, the rest works the same as with the glimmer plates, but now look how beautiful this is. You can already see what happened. Instead of cutting, the lines of the die are now etched into the paper with the hot foil. And I like this very much. Very subtle foiled lines and so crisp too. I'm also going to use the remaining foil and foil it with a solid plate. And in the time I'm waiting for the machine to heat up, I'm cutting out these shapes. While cutting, I keep a wide edge of something like 2 mm of space. Foiling is a patient job and you have to take your time. It is, however, nice and warm to do in this cold winter month. Being patient also applies to cutting. The more patient and calm you cut, the better the result. Let's see how this one turned out. I used the solid plate again for the negative foil. Wow, look how cool! And now even the foil is still on it, so it gets even prettier. Look underneath. I'm going to try out if I can manage to cut out while the top layer is still on. Well, that's not very easy. Cutting with the protective foil still on top is pretty heavy this way and I can see it better when it's off, but I want to be careful not to damage it. I decide to take the foil off anyway and cut without it. I notice that the cutting goes very well without foil, and I also notice that I don't damage the foil with fingerprints or by the scissors. So yes, I was being careful for no reason at all. Again, I cut out the shapes with 2 mm of space around the lines. Here I cut them all out. The simple flower, the zigzag straw and the leaf, as I call them for convenience. Those same shapes I will be die cutting again. I used the solid glimmer plate to foil a piece of paper with gold foil and I will now use that to die cut. I don't need the whole piece, I'm sparing with the foil, so I will die cut only the pieces I need and cut them out in advance. Meanwhile, I foil some more flowers and leaves using the sealed Squiggles dies. I can use these on new cards and also always on a matching envelope. Look how pretty it is once you pull the foil off. Here are the die cut squiggles I made out of the foiled paper. I will also die cut the sealed twine from the foiled paper. That will come folded around the card. The side doesn't need to be foiled because that will come on the back anyway, and neither does the center because that will be covered by a text circle. Or possibly a wax seal. And since I'm pretty frugal, I use a narrow strip of it. I won't have to die cut the sealed twine all the way, because I only need a small piece anyway. I will die cut it twice, one for each side, and later put a text circle in the middle on top. I have beautiful marbled paper here from Avec. I bought it at the Action store. This paper is already foiled, see? The foil color matches the self-foiled parts very nicely. I'm going to use a sheet from these for my cards. Some sheets are foiled and some aren't foiled, like this one. Now if you have paper that doesn't have foil on it, you can stick foil on it yourself with glue. I have a lot of foil left over that I used for the texts. A few times I had to redo my text, because it had shifted, for example, or because I had stuck the tape on the foil, or because I had cut out too small a piece of foil. The foil is still fine to use. If the glue is still sticky, but not dry, you can add some glimmer to your paper by pressing the foil onto the glue. I will do it with a bone folder, then it will work better. And I'm doing it quickly now to show you the idea. I'm showing it for you so you might get some use out of it. By pressing the foil on the glue, it sticks to it and you remove the glimmer from the foil. It itself works best with tacky glue, but I didn't have this on hand right now, unfortunately. It is a fun way to use up your leftover foil too. When you foil something with a glimmer plate and a hot foil machine, it is really pressed into the paper. And now with the glue technique, it is on top. And that's a big difference. I am not going to use this self-foiled sheet, but I used the ready-made sheet from the paper block, which is already pre-foiled. And you can immediately see that something that has been foiled looks much nicer. This piece of paper I'm going to cut to size. 9.7 cm by 13 cm. I cut a piece of paper. My slimline card is 10.5 cm wide. Especially adjust it to the paper size you have and make it a little bit longer than half the card. I have it so that a 0.5 cm border of the card remains visible everywhere. I die cutted the foiled sentiment with a circle die. And you can see I only partially die cutted the sealed twine. You don't need the whole stem for this narrow card. I used double-sided tape to glue these on. That way I know it's right and tight and all at once with no mess. I will line out the cutout shape with the text above my craft mat and stick it pretty much in the middle of the twine. Now I'm going to stick this circle of text in the middle of the paper with a foam tape so it stands out a little more. Make sure you stick it on your panel before you stick the panel on the card. If you want to glue your circle exactly in the center, lay the panel on the center of your working plate and use the lines of your working plate to see where best to glue. I put 2 strips of double-sided tape on the back of the card panel, so that the protruding pieces of twine can stick to it later. My tape is from a Lina craft store and really sticks perfectly. I really enjoy using it. You can find a link for it in the description box if you are interested. The sealed twine does not stick to the paper, only the circle sticks because of the foam tape on the back. It turned out a little tight, but luckily it fits exactly. For convenience, I could have die cut a slightly bit larger piece, but I'm pretty frugal. I fold over the ends and they stick nicely to the double-sided tape. This tape sticks really super. I can recommend it to everyone. Can you see that the twine has a little depth this way because of the foam block behind the circle? I adhere the panel to the card with foam tape. This tape is 2 mm thick. I found a sheet of foam a bit too thick to put behind it. I always prefer to cut this foam tape from Action Store, which is on a roll, by using leftover pieces from the back of double-sided tape, which I use specifically for this purpose. Sticking the tape on this makes it easier to cut it into strips and pieces and also keeps it from sticking to your scissors. I like it just a little better when the panel is glued on a little raised, especially with this nice shiny chic look. You can also tape it up with a piece of foam that you cut to size, or some pieces of paper in between. For me, this is the most convenient way. I take the protective film off and stick the panel to my card base, leaving half a centimeter of space on the bottom and the sides. Now I will go to stick the Team Spellbinders sealed squiggles on top. First I just slide and spread until I like the ratio. Sometimes I find it bare and sometimes too full. I find patching and matching to be one of the more fun and interesting things about card design, and I also find it one of the most time-consuming things, because I can never definitively decide which way I like it best. And sometimes I was too frugal and have the stems too short, or need some more sealed parts. Just now when my hotfoil machine is switched off. I am wearing a warm vest again. It is starting to get cold here now that it's winter and Christmas time is approaching. This hotfoil machine also helps me to keep warm and the foil gives me a Christmas feeling. Now that is what I like about making Christmas cards. I always get into that Christmas mood. Okay. To glue the sealed squiggles, I start by gluing the ones that come in the bag with 3 small parts of cardstock. The small die cut shapes I glue by die cutting the shape 3 times out of paper, which I glue on top of each other, making 3 layers that form the shape. Then I glue it behind the figure I want to have on the card. A somewhat larger shape can be best glued on with foam tape. This is again slightly thicker and also comes higher. This is not possible with the thin squiggles. Also with the die cut squiggles I glue some layers of die cut paper underneath to make it look more solid and also to make it stand out a bit. So the die cut figures that are more to the back will have fewer layers and the die cuts that are more to the front will have more layers. On the front figure I stick a thicker 3D foam block. I think it is 3 mm thick. Well, the card is finished now. It is such a pretty card. This is truly a card that is handmade with love. Look at all this dimension and shine. Of course, that still requires an envelope. And for that I used the leftover papers from the foiled paper. And I am always shuffling and trying that out too. 2 extra white gold foiled sealed squiggles, that I cut out, I use on the envelope. I've decorated lots of envelopes already with all my cards. Take a look at my Pinterest page. There you can see everything together. You can find my cards on Pinterest if you search for Cisvolk. Also, my profile there is called Cisvolk. In the folder Francis People Productions, you can find a lot of cards I made myself. Maybe it will give you an idea. By the way, you can also find all the cards on Instagram or Facebook. Below the video you will find links to my social media channels. I adhere the strip of paper again with Alina Craft double-sided tape. I peel off the protective film from the double-sided tape on the side where I don't want to stick first. Then I put the strip down on the envelope where I want it, and only when it's laying well do I press the tape down and pull off the rest. Look how nice it shines! I think it's so neat always having such a matching envelope to a card. And it turned out very chic, don't you think? That hot foil is really nice to work with. I hot foiled with the Glimmer plates and with the dies. Hot foiled and then die cut, and also used the negative by using the solid plate. And because I used the hot foil in different ways, it was fairly economical to use and also a lot of fun to do. Check out my affiliate links should you be interested in the Sealed by Spellbinders collection or any of the other Team Spellbinders products. I also made a similar card with green paper. It looks a bit more stately because I arranged the sealed squiggles differently in the so-called vase. And on the envelope I also used the negative from a piece of hot foil. Here I used the sentiment wishing you all the best. Here you can see them side by side. You can't actually even see how nice it looks in the video. The lamp shines so brightly on the foil that you're pretty much blinded by it. Taking pictures of a card with hot foil is also quite tricky. In a future video I will make cards using the Spellbinders geometric diamond background glimmer plate, which by the way you can also use very well as a background on this card. Keep an eye out for that. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. It was a treat to be able to make cards with these beautiful products from Team Spellbinders, and there are definitely more to come. Let me know in the description below the video what you thought and what you would like to see more of. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you will have a nice day and enjoy crafting. See you next time. Bye bye!